Hello, dear friends. Once again, I'm back. Myself, Bonaful Banerjee, in this channel that is Hospitality Education PPT, and this is your own classroom beyond your natural classroom. As you know, that every time we come back with a lesson which is based on the food production basics, and today also there is no indifferent thing. We are going to discuss about exploring diverse cooking methods. Now, as you all know that we are having a very preliminary idea about different cooking methods, and as because you are doing hotel management or hospitality management and you are learning food production as one of your prime subject over there, and I'm very sure many of you in future will take up the food production as your profession. So it is our responsibility to learn the intricate different methods of cooking in detail and clarify and make our knowledge very transparent about it. So with that view, I am welcoming you all to this channel that is Hospitality Education PPT, and will continue for a couple of sessions like this to complete and discuss about the entire cooking methods we normally use in the kitchen, in a professional kitchen rather. Okay, so let's proceed. Well, in every session, we have some scope of study, and we are going to discuss those scope of studies right now. What are the things we are going to discuss today in this 45 minutes to 50 minutes session? First one, definitely we are going to discuss about what is cooking. Though we all know that the cooking means what, but still, as because we are now professionally educated, we should also know exactly how that word cooking can be defined. So that we are going to discuss, and definitely depending on that, we'll develop the concept of how the heat is transferred to the food and ultimately cooking is done on the basis of that. That also we are going to discuss to clarify and to make it very transparent in your mind. And then we are going to discuss the entire cooking methods flow chart. That will be our large area for today, that we'll learn all the cooking methods, will name it, will create a flow chart so that we can remember it in a specific way. And then obviously, as because it is very large scale discussions, we are going to discuss not the entire thing, some part of it. We'll discuss only about that moist heat methods, and under the moist heat methods we are going to discuss about boiling, parboiling, blanching, steaming, poaching, stewing, etc. Okay, so with that we'll start with our next slide, that is what is boiling. So before we go actually to the detail of different cooking methods, let us try to explain what is exactly cooking. Okay, now what is cooking according to you? Definition is very simple. It is a process of application or withdrawal of heat on ingredients through different medium to bring about a physical or a chemical change, and thus making it acceptable for human consumption. See, as a whole, it is a very complete outlook about the cooking. It is a process of application of heat, either withdrawal or applications. Okay, so you can apply heat or we can withdraw heat from the product. There will be a change. And change, what kind of changes we are expecting? It can be a physical change or it can be a chemical change. Physical change, we all know with our basic science knowledge that physical change is a change which is not permanent, Whereas a chemical change is a permanent change. And ultimate end result, it will be acceptable for human consumption. If that is the thing, it can be termed as cooking. And now you apply this concept in any of the dish you have tasted recently, you'll see that is an application of cooking is there. Either applying heat or withdrawal of heat. Now I'll give you few examples in front of you. Let us see that. You can see here the meat is getting exposed to a fire and it is getting cooked. Here, which is very a popular item in front of you, French fries. We all love. Whenever you go to any restaurant, you ask for sandwich or anything, snacks of that kind, fried, you'll get to see that lots of finger chips are served like this in a basket, and that we enjoy, really love it. Then another one, the bread. Every morning, almost all of us take the breakfast, and bread is one of the integral commodity in that. Bread is another item. Then it is a kind of, if this one we are observing, then it is a kind of stew, basically liquid product. And then very popular one, ice cream. Now if you see these photographs, rather the dishes which is mentioned out here, you'll see there the first one, we can see this one is basically the method which is known as the grill. The meat is getting grilled out here. Here, this is fried. That means oil is used, potato is dipped in that and ultimately fried. We are acquainted with that term. Then this one is basically what? Nothing but baked. Bread is always baked in the oven. And here you can see it is another one method which is known as boiled, which is simmered or boiled. Liquid is used over there. And another one is basically it is a frozen one. Now if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, all these 4 areas where heat was applied, and in this case the last one frozen, from where the heat is withdrawn. That's why it has become frozen. So that means in all these cases there are application of heat or withdrawal of heat, and ultimately the product is becoming, there is a change, either a physical change or a chemical change, and here it is mostly a chemical change as per the photographs. And here another one thing is that all the products are acceptable to human consumption. So we understand that is the definition of cooking. And one thing is very clear that in every case heat is applied. Here burning charcoal is there at the bottom. Here the potato was fried in a hot oil. In this case the bread was baked in the oven. In this case the bowl is made, which is boiled, is made on the fire stove top. And here it is refrigerated. That's why it has become frozen. That means there are different ways heat can be applied or withdrawn, and depending on that we get to see different cooking methods. And today we are going to discuss in detail about the methods of cooking. Okay, there is no doubt, I believe, as far the definition is concerned. Let us proceed then. Well, now let us first see application of heat, then how there are heat are transferring. There are basically 3 ways heat are transferred. If you see this image, it will be very clear. In this case, you can see that here few woods are getting burned, fire is generated. On top of the fire, one container is placed with some water or some liquid. And now you can see in these cases, the container is getting heated and slowly the inside liquid is also getting heated. And if you stand around the fire, you'll feel a kind of heat also. So that means there are 3 things are happening out here through which the heat are getting transferred. First one is conduction method. What is conduction? You can see it is given that the fire is touching the container, the metal, the metal is getting heated through direct contact of fire. This is known as conduction method. What is conduction? Elaborate it. Direct transfer of heat through physical contact between substances. So here you can see the metal is there, metal is getting heated and slowly it is getting transferred to this metal and it is going to this part also the heat. It's the primary method in stove cooking process, stove top cooking process. It is the primary method. So that is known as the conduction. Then what is the second one? Second one you get to see that the convection. What is convection? Convection is heat transfer through the movement of liquids or gases. It's crucial in oven baking and boiling. Now what is happening out here? The metal is getting heated. That heat is getting transferred to the liquid. Now liquid is also under flow or motion. It is becoming heated. The heating element, the heating part of the water is going on top and the cold part of the water is coming down. So there is a current of flow. And this in this method the water or the liquid is getting heated and that transfer of heat, that means one molecule to another molecule, the cold part and the hot part is getting interchanged. That part is known as the convection. So I repeat once again that heat transfer to the movement of liquids or gases. Same thing can be happening inside the oven where the heated gas is getting moved through this method, that is known as the convection method. Then what is radiation? The third one. Radiation, you can see that once the fire is on, the outside part of the fire, you are feeling a heat. What is that? Radiation. Heat transfer through electromagnetic waves. It's the principle behind grilling and microwave cooking process. So that is the three different ways heat are transferred from the source to the product. Okay, and the product is getting cooked. Now let us see the methods of cooking, the entire flow chart. Now we have already mentioned about the heat is moving. Now heat can be generated in different ways depending upon, we get to see three different kind of medium through which heat is transferred. One is moist heat method, other one is dry heat method, and other third one is combination method. So through these three different kind of methods, we get different kind of sub methods under them. Now under moist heat method, what is that? Moist heat means there is a utilization of water or moisture through which the heat will be transferred. What are those methods? Let us list down. Boiling, parboiling, blanching, steaming, poaching, stewing, en papilote, sous vide, pressure cooking, and microwave cooking. So these are the long list which is coming under moist heat method of cooking. That means in all these cases there is a concept of moisture through which heat is getting transferred. And we will clarify all these methods one by one in the following slides. Let us see now the dry heat method. Under dry heat method, if I name, it is basically the air is getting heated. There are two sub parts. One is the hot air is used. Other one, fat and oil is used. So dry heat, why it is dry heat? Because there is no use of water or moisture. Either air is getting heated in this case, and other part the heat is transferred through fat and oil if you are using it as a medium. Okay. Now under heat hot air method, there are few methods as well. Number one is baking, grilling and broiling. Now grilling has got two different parts once again. One is known as open fire grilling and number two is the salamander grilling. We'll clarify it definitely in our slides. Then the next method is barbecuing. Then roasting. Roasting again can be of two types, rather three types: spit roasting, pot roasting, and oven roasting. Will again, I'm assuring you that we are going to discuss all these points very clearly here in this session. Not today, in the coming session. Then boiling. Boiling is another very similar kind of method of roasting, and that also we are going to discuss out here. Boiling, there are two different methods. One is casserole, another one is cocotte. Casserole and cocotte, these are the two specific method of boiling. That also we are going to discuss. And then tandoor. Tandoor is a very common item, or many of you are very much fond of kebabs, which is made through tandoor, and we are going to discuss about the concept of tandoor as well. Now, under fat and oil is used, that is the medium. Then, what are the methods? Sauteing. You may not be hearing this term before. However, we are going to explain it very clearly. Pan frying will definitely explain. Shallow frying, and then deep frying. So these are the methods is normally followed and very popular method under fats and oils as a medium. So till now we have discussed about methods of cooking under two different mediums. One is a moist heat method, other one is a dry heat method. Under moist heat method, why it is called moist heat? Because there is a use of water in all the cases, and we have named the method which is already on display on your screen. Dried method is subdivided into two parts. One is the hot air use, other one is fats and oils used. Under hot air is used, we have listed down the methods of cooking and their sub methods. Similarly, fat and oil is used, we have also discussed about the method. Now coming under the combination method. Combination method, we are getting one, sometimes two. However, I am going to put only one under this, that is braising. And we are going to discuss very clearly on all these methods, whatever is listed in the flowchart. This flowchart is very, very important for you for coming days and also for your examination purpose. Okay. If you have any questions, please put me in the comment box. I'll get back to you as earliest. Now, moist heat method. Though I have given you a concept, what is that? Moist heat cooking involves using liquid or steam to transfer heat to food. Very clear? This method is particularly effective for tenderizing tough cuts of meat. Cooking time is more. That's why we need to adopt this cooking method for such products which are tough by nature. Tough joints, tough cut of meat, tough vegetables. Okay. And cooking delicate foods without drying them out. Some delicate foods are there. If you are adopting a boiling method, moist method, then definitely that won't be drying out during the way of cooking, because it's a prolonged way of cooking. It will remain moist, at the same time it will be cooked. Here are some common moist heat cooking techniques we are going to discuss. Now it is coming, what is boiling? Previously I told you we'll start with boiling. But I thought before that, definitely we should discuss about what is cooking and then the flow chart, and now boiling is there in front of you. It is a very simple method, I know. Boiling is the moist heat method that cooks food in boiling water or other water-based liquid, that is stock or milk. I repeat, boiling is the moist heat method of cooking that cooks food in boiling water or other than water. We can also use other liquid like stock and milk. Clear? The temperature for boiling water is 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and as you all know, in centigrade it is 100 degrees Celsius. And when the liquid that you are using for cooking has rapid and aggressive bubbles, and once the water is coming to that boiling point, 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius, you'll see that there will be aggressive bubbles in the water, and water is getting up and down, there is a flow, current is flowing inside the water, that is happening. Boiling is usually used for items that can withstand the intense agitation like pasta or vegetables. So for pasta or vegetables, for a specific period of time, subject to the nature of the pasta and vegetable, we cook it through boiling method only. So which can withstand the intense agitation while getting boiled. Clear? A simple method, you can see that in a boiling water, few vegetables, here in this case the broccolis are put in boiling water for getting cooked. Now the point is how the heat is getting transferred. First one, heat is conducted through the equipment surface to the liquid in contact with them, because in the stove top there is a container. From the fire, the container is getting heated, and from the container, this water inside water is getting heated. It is conducted through the equipment surface. The liquid transferred this heat to the food by convection method. The liquid is now transferring it to the convection method from one point to another, from that point to another point. Inside the ingredients, the heat is getting transferred, and that method is known as the convection method. And heat is absorbed by the surface of the food and passes through it by conduction, and ultimately the food gets cooked. So it is basically a conduction and convection. So first of all, conduction is that the metal is getting heated, the container is getting heated, and it is getting the liquid also heated through that. Inside the liquid, the heat is getting transferred to convection, and when the ingredients are getting cooked inside the container also, ingredients also, the heat is getting transferred through conduction method. So it is a method of conduction and convection happening both at the same time, right? And ultimately the product is getting boiled. Now few techniques associated with boiling. First one, simmering. This is gentle heat treatment which causes small bubbles to rise slowly from the liquid. The food remains whole with a better texture and more flavor. The water does not evaporate so quickly, and less vigilance is required to maintain the correct level of liquid. Very simple. Simmering means the liquid or the water is getting heated below boiling point. So once it is below boiling point getting heated, that means we get to see the bubbles, small bubbles are coming out. There is no rapid and aggressive bubbles throughout the water. So below boiling point, that is a key word. How it is happening, you can see that on the stove top, a container where the liquid is getting boiled. In this case, you can see only few bubbles on the surface. That means it is on the simmering point. And what we can cook, we can simmer chicken, we can simmer fish, we can simmer eggs. Everything it can be done through that method. Okay. What is the ideal temperature? Ideal temperature of simmering is 185 degree Fahrenheit. If you remember, it was 212 degree Fahrenheit for boiling. In this case, we require less temperature, 185 to 205 degree Fahrenheit, and precisely in centigrade, it is 85 degrees centigrade to 96 degrees centigrade. Remember the temperature. This is very, very important. Simmering temperature is below 100 degrees Celsius, 85 degrees Celsius to 96 degrees Celsius. Okay. Then another method is there under boiling associated with boiling, that is known as parboiling. Parboiling means partial boiling, and it is basically used for such cooking where the ingredient will first parboiled or partially boiled, and then they will be cooked again through another method of cooking. In such cases, we always go for parboiling. What is that? Parboiling is the boiling of food until it is only partially cooked. The food is placed in boiling water for a short time from 1 to 5 minutes, or until the outside becomes soft. So it is cooked for a short span of time, 1 to 5 minutes only, or until the outside becomes soft. The cooking process is then completed using another method, as I have mentioned in the beginning. Potatoes, for example, may be parboiled to reduce roasting time and to help brown them and give them a crisper texture. So maybe for roast potato, the potatoes are sometimes parboiled and then they are browned to give a crisper texture. Same with French fries. French fries are parboiled, then as per the order it is fried and served to the guest. It will remain crispy. So parboil means nothing but the partially boiling, where the product will be undergoing another method of cooking afterwards. Clear? The temperature for parboiling is typically around 70 to 80 degree Celsius. You understand? So if I again remind you, water boiling at 212 degree, for simmering we need to get 96 degree and little below temperature, and in case of parboiling we require 70 to 80 degrees Celsius only, not beyond that, so that product will be partially cooked before they go to the final methods of cooking. Clear? Then we will discuss another one method which is very close to the boiling method, blanching. What is blanching? Blanching does involve placing of food in boiling water. Food is plunged into boiling water for 1 to 2 minutes depending on the size of the food and then removed. It is then immediately refreshed in cold water. So what is that? It is simultaneously we are treating the product in first boiling water and followed by refreshing in cold water or ice cold water. That entire process is known as blanching. The second part, what we have mentioned about dipping it in ice cold water, that part precisely known as shocking. What is shocking? Shocking is a cooking process wherein the food substance, usually a vegetable or fruit, is plunged into the iced water or placed under cold running water to halt the cooking process. To halt the cooking process means to stop the carryover cooking. Whenever you are removing one product from the boiling water, it has gained some heat inside, and if you keep the product outside, that inner heat will go on affecting the quality of the product, the tenderness of the product, and this is known as some cooking will take place. Even you remove it from the boiling water and keep it outside, and that cooking is known as carryover cooking. We have to stop this in certain cases, especially for blanching purpose. So blanching, and it is very much associated with the terms tomato is normally blanched. So tomato is dipped in boiling water for a specific period of time, then removed and put it in ice cold water for shocking or refreshing. Shocking is done what? To arrest the carryover cooking instantly by putting it in ice cold water. Okay, to prevent the carryover cooking. Clear? Blanching, and which part is known as shocking? Fine. Now, some key points of blanching. To prevent, why we blanch actually? To prevent further cooking if the food is not to be used immediately. Okay, we blanch and keep. To open the pores and to leach out excess salt from cured ham or salt pork. The product which are having excess of salt, to remove that excess of salt, sometimes we take the method that is a blanching method. In that way, the pores will be open, and through that pores all the excess salt will leach out in the water. Right? Same thing we can do it for the bitter gourd. To reduce the bitterness, we can always blanch it in salt and turmeric water. So what will happen automatically? some bitterness will be reduced for certain preparations. To remove impurities, outer skin, strong flavor, and excess blood from some food items. Many times, for making white stock, already we have discussed that, we go for blanching of bones to remove the impurities. Sometimes the outer skin having a strong flavor, to remove that. Also we go for blanching, and sometimes to remove the excess of blood, we can also go for blanching. And many a times to retain the natural color and nutrients, we also go for blanching. Hot oil blanching facilitates pre-cooking. There is a method of hot oil blanching also where we specifically need that the product will be partially cooked. We can go for hot oil blanching as well. Okay, fine. Now some advantages of boiling. Tougher, cheaper cuts of meat may be used for boiling purpose. Heat transfer is fairly rapid and efficient because of fast boiling method. So naturally heat transfer will be rapid and efficient transfer of heat. The food is not likely to burn. Obviously we are not using any oil or fat. So if the heat is more, obviously it won't be burnt. The water is allowed to evaporate completely. Unless the water is allowed to evaporate completely. You have put something for boiling and just forgot to remove it in due time. So what will happen? Water boiling means water is getting evaporated continuously. It may happen a situation that where they evaporated completely, and that time the end result is burning product or boiled product. So not only that is also advantage in case of boiling that may not happen. Chances are less. The food remains moist and is not likely to dry out and become hard. That also we have mentioned. We normally select the tougher joints or tougher products to cook through boiling method, and boiling method is a long method of cooking. Through this long method of cooking, there is no possibility that the product will become dry, as because we are adopting the moist method of cooking. So that is one of the advantages. Boiling begins, there are two different ways boiling can start. Some boiling may start with a cold water. Why? To extract the flavor from product as per stocks. Stocks, always remember, we always start from the cold water to ensure that the maximum amount of nutrients are transferred to the liquid. Clear? Number two, gradually soften hard fibrous material like carrot and turnip. So whenever you are boiling carrot and turnip like hard vegetables, always start from cold water. Yes. To prevent damage to items which would lose their shape if plunged into boiling water, as for example fish. As you all know that fish is a very delicate item. If you put them all on a sudden in a very fast boiling water, there is every process that the fish will get disintegrated. It will be broken immediately because that meat has got less capacity to bind. So it will also prevent damage if you start it from the cold water and boil it up to what extent you require it for your cooking purpose. Sometimes boiling begins with the hot water. Let us see. If you want to seal in the food's flavor, small cuts of fish, leg of mutton, suppose we want that the flavor of the fish and leg of mutton will be full in flavor, then the method, boiling method will start from hot water only, not from cold water. To set the protein and color of the food, that is green vegetables, we start from the hot water only, like blanching. We put the vegetables in hot water, boiling water, and then immediately go for shocking. So boiling will start in this case from hot water only. To reduce the overall cooking time, like boiled eggs, In case of boiling of eggs, we always start from the hot water, no, never start from cold water. If it is a cold water, cooking time will be very difficult to tackle or control. To eliminate the enzymic action which destroy vitamin C. For that reason also we start from the hot water. Clear? To allow partial or incomplete cooking. In case of parboiling also we start from boiling hot water. So that is to allow a partial cooking or incomplete cooking, because we know that this product will undergo another methods of cooking afterwards. Okay, this is the advantages. So boiling water can be done either starting from cold water and from hot water as well, and we have discussed thoroughly why from hot water and why from cold water. Hope the concept is very clear in your mind. Now we'll discuss about what is steaming. What is steaming? This is a moist method of cooking using steam. The food is surrounded by steam under varying degrees of pressure. That is known as steaming. Here the food is basically cooked by steaming process. It can be two ways done. One is low pressure steaming, because in the definition we have mentioned that under varying degrees of pressure. So one is low pressure steaming, one is of course high pressure of steaming. What is that? Food is steamed using the atmospheric pressure of the surrounding moisture 100 degrees Celsius. In normal cases, in a normal atmospheric pressure, the water will boil at 100 degrees Celsius, and from there the steam will be generated. That can be utilized. Now let us come to the point that what is low pressure steaming. Low pressure steaming can be subdivided into two parts. One is indirect steaming, other one is direct steaming. Indirect steaming, we need a basket or a steamer on which the fish or the vegetables are placed. The container is sealed or with a lid on top, and ultimately the water is there at the bottom of the container. This water is no way coming in contact with the product you are going to steam, and in this case the fish or the vegetables you are going to steam is not coming at direct contact with the steam. The basket part is, the bottom part of the basket is getting heated, through which it is getting cooked. So it is basically cooked by steaming process, but indirect steaming. What is direct steaming? Food comes in direct contact of the steam. Like if you have a steamer where you got some perforations, below that container the water is getting boiled, and through the hole the steams are coming out, and you are putting the product on top of that like momos, and it is getting steamed. Okay, so that is the way direct steaming. Now high pressure steaming. Pressure cooking makes use of steam from water boiled in a sealed container. The boiling point of water varies according to air pressure. The higher the pressure, the higher the boiling point. That is the concept of pressure cooking. Under normal atmospheric condition at sea level, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. But inside a pressure cooker, the pressure can be increased so that the water will boil at 120 degrees Celsius. We are increasing the temperature. So what will happen? Intense steam will be created through boiling of water, and that steam will pass to the product, and product will be cooked very easily in a short span of time. That is high pressure of cooking. Okay, clear? Now some key points. There is a less loss of soluble nutrients than with the other moist method of cooking. If you compare it with steaming and boiling, you will find out in case of boiling, the product is coming in contact with the moisture, that is water. In case of steaming, there is a less loss of soluble nutrients than the other moist method of cooking. So product is by no way coming in contact with the steam or water. So every product there are some water soluble nutrients as well. So there is automatically a less possibility that there will be less loss of soluble nutrients. Clear? It reduces the risk of overcooking of protein. Very simple, it is also very controlled method of cooking. If atmospheric pressure is increased, the boiling temperature is raised. So more the atmospheric pressure, boiling temperature will be raised, like we use it for pressure cooking process, that we use it as an advantage. No undue loss of color and flavor because it is not coming in contact with the moisture by any chance. Steaming is ideal for bulk cooking. We always, in large scale, whenever we are going to cook, we can always adopt the method that is steaming method. That will give you better result. When steaming pudding, always cover the lid with greaseproof paper or cheesecloth to protect food from condensed steam. If the product under steaming, if the product is covered with a lid or some greaseproof paper, what will happen? The heat generated inside the product, that will get no chance to escape. So what will happen? They will come in contact with the lid or the cover on top of the container. They will get condensed and it will transform into moisture and will drip on top of the product. That is the thing we are going to take care of. Okay. Now we'll switch over to what is poaching. What is poaching? It is a very gentle method of cooking which prevent the food from drying out. Firstly, that is the first point. How it is done? Food is immersed into the water or stock or court bouillon or water bath and cook uncovered. Cook uncovered. The product is completely immersed to the liquid. What are the liquids? Water, stock or court bouillon or water bath, and it is cooked uncovered. What is the temperature? Temperature is below boiling point, 70 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius at the right temperature for the cooking liquid during poaching time. Usually a loss of albumin occurs at temperature above 80 degrees Celsius. So by any chance there should not be temperature of above 80 degrees. There is a point of loss of albumin may occur if you poach it on a fast boiling water. Clear? There are two different types of poaching. One is shallow poaching. Shallow means less. Here in this case, most foods are poached by this method. A minimum amount of liquid is added and this is later used to make an accompanying sauce. So the product is poached by using minimum amount of liquid. I am saying liquid as because it can be water, can be stock, can be poaching liquor, but not always water. That's why a liquid is added and then it is that liquid is used once the poaching is over to use to prepare a sauce which will accompany the product. So naturally it will enhance the flavor and taste. So shallow poaching, for that we require less amount. Greased paper or a lid can be used to trap moisture and prevent drying out. In case of shallow poaching, we can cover it up with a greased paper or some lid on top to prevent the product to become drying out. Okay, due to the loss of moisture. Another one obvious is deep poaching. When poaching some items, more liquid is used than in shallow poaching. In the case of fruits, this is because they have to be completely covered to prevent discolorations. Suppose we are poaching a fruit. Obviously, that has to be completely covered with the liquid. Otherwise, what will happen? The part which is above the liquid, that will be discolored very soon, and that is not required. In other cases, with eggs, a depth of water is needed while poaching, so that it will be nicely done. The poaching will be nicely done. The white will be encasing on top of the yolk. So that is the way it is normally done. So deep poaching and shallow poaching, these are two methods we have discussed out here. Some key points about poaching. Fish covered with aluminium foil, poultry are poached in small amount of pot bouillon or in stock. Okay. Poaching is done for dumplings, variety of meats, smoked pork, sausages and eggs in plain water with some vinegar. Remember this. Plain water with some vinegar, that's the liquid. In this case for poaching dumplings, meat, smoked pork, sausages, etc. Poaching is done in molds for farts. Farts means the French term for force meat, stuffings, puddings, different kind of fillings, etc. Sometimes sponge mixture or sauce are poached in double boiler or in water bath with stirring. Okay. Now we'll talk about some poaching liquids. Very popular one. Number one is coat bouillon. Already I have mentioned that once. What is that coat bouillon? Coat bouillon, which translates to short broth in French. It is a quickly prepared flavorful liquid used for poaching delicate foods like fish and seafood. So whenever you are poaching food like fish and seafood, coat bouillon is the liquid for poaching. It typically includes water, wine or vinegar, vegetables like onion, carrots and celery which has got a flavor, and herbs such as bay leaves and thyme. Once you combine all these ingredients and simmer it for some time, you get a short broth which is nothing but called a coat bouillon. Usage: it's primarily used for poaching and is not usually served as a part of finished dish. Very, very important area. The liquid which is used as a coat bouillon for poaching a fish, that is not served with the fish. We can use that liquid for preparing accompanying sauce, and that sauce can be served with that. Am I clear? Fine, very good. Another one liquid for you, that is a la nage. Pronunciation is a la nage. What is that? A la nage meaning in the swim. In French it means in the swim. It refers to a method of poaching seafood in a lightly flavored broth. The broth or nage is often made with white wine, vegetables, herbs, and which is very similar to coat bouillon. Okay, in coat bouillon, the seafood is poached, and how it is served? Unlike coat bouillon, the broth in a la nage is often served as a part of the dish. The poaching liquid is sometimes reduced and enriched with cream or butter to create a light sauce. So what is the difference between nas, a la nas and coat bouillon? Coat bouillon is never served along with the product. A la nas is served which is enhanced with some cream or butter to create a light variety of sauce. Alanas means in the swim. That means the seafood, it is only applicable for seafood, not for any other fish. So seafood served with that liquid is known as alanas, as if the seafood is swimming in that liquid. That's the concept. Okay. If you have still any doubt, please put me in the comment box. I'll get the answer very clearly for you. Fine. Let's proceed. Now we'll talk about what is steaming, and probably this is our last topic for the day for this particular session. What is steaming? The French word for steaming is étouffée, and it literally means to cook in its own juice. Okay, good. It can be best defined as slowly cooking food in its own juice with the aid of a minimum amount of moisture in the form of stock, wine, beer, sauce, butter, etc. You see, so many things we can use: stock, wine, beer, sauce, butter, etc. with a minimum amount, and mainly the product will be cooked in its own juice. Clear? During cooking, the liquid is flavored by extracts of food items, and ultimately this highly flavored liquor or sauce forms the integral part of the stew. So whenever it is the cooking process is on, what will happen? The juices from the product you are stewing will come and mix with the liquid, and as a result the liquid will become very highly flavorful, and that is known as the flavored liquor or the sauce, and which will be the integral part of the stew. It will be served along with the meat is stewed, and be served with the liquid and vegetables. Okay, very nutritious in terms of health food. Few key points. Evaporation is kept to a minimum by putting a tight fitting lid on top of the stewing vessel and by simmering it. Condensation, like we have mentioned, if there is a lid, there is every possibility that steam will be generated. Steam will come in contact with the lid, they will be condensed, and they will transform into liquid and drip into the on top of the food. Condense, which forms on the inside of the lid, act as a self-basting process and keep the food moist. In this case, that will be taken as an advantage, that it will be keeping the food moist all the time. Food items for stewing are cut into small pieces, never cut into big pieces, and may comprises of meat, fish, vegetables, and fruit, etc. Okay. To obtain a brown color, sometimes the stew are also brown. The meat and vegetables are sealed and browned in oil or fat or dripping at a high temperature before stewing. So whenever you are putting the meat in the stewing process, seal them. That means lightly cook them in oil or dripping of fat, so that their outer part of the meat will be colored brown, and that brown color will make the stew light brown also in color. Okay. Color is also achieved by using brown roux and brown stock. You can also get the color by using brown roux and brown stock. Some more key points for you. To achieve white color, less heat is applied to seal meat and vegetables. For getting a white colored stew, same process of sealing can be obtained. But in this case, the heat will be little in lower side, so that the meat by chance not developing any color while sealing. Okay, neither the vegetables. The most suitable cooking medium is butter or margarine, not the oil. Oil actually floats on top. Care must be taken in between to prevent drying up of liquid. On completion, either the liquid will be reduced, or beurre manier, arrowroot, or corn flour will be added for thickening effect. So once the stew is over, the liquid will be very liquidy sort of thing. We have to make it little thick, either by reducing it or add beurre manier. Already you have discussed beurre manier in our sauce chapter, you must be knowing. If not, you can refer back. Arrowroot or corn flour will be added to get the desired consistency. Either demi-glace or Juliet or velouté will be added to enrich the stew. Now I'll mention about few international very popular stews. Number one is known as blanquette. It is a stew cooked in stocks from which for sauce is made. Fricassee, a stew in which the meat, poultry or farm is cooked, farm means farm birds, is cooked in the sauce. Navarin, it refers to a very rich, dark colored lamb stew. Ragu, it is a stew, it is a brown stew made out of beef. Number five is a bouillabaisse, a heavily fish and shellfish stew made with saffron, a traditional specialty of France. Okay, so thank you very much for attending this session. This session is created for you to give you a very clear cut concept about the methods of cooking. It is the first session, so naturally we have done up to the stewing process. Some part of the moist cooking method is still left, which will be discussed in our following classes. What is important, that is your valid comment, and is very important, and I need to know that you are, what are your doubts. If there are doubts, you please put me in the comment box. Keep on learning through this channel. The remaining part of the moist method, as I have mentioned, of cooking will be discussed in our next session. So ensure that you are connected and you subscribe so that you get the alarm as early as whenever the next video will be uploaded. Okay, so with the good wishes and best wishes for the day and remaining days of the week, take care. Bye bye.